Folks, for our final choice of tonight for the Veterans Day bundle, I have chosen a very obscure game title. So obscure that even we have no knowledge if this game was ever released to the States here or not. But here we go with the most obscure Sega title that is known to date. Starting in April 1972. 7 years before I was even born. Of course, shit happened, and, well, 20 years later. This is Caliber 50, brought to us by Mentric Software of 1991. A very, very, and I do say this, it is a very, very obscure title of the many obscure titles that there are on the Mega Drive. And like I said before, I am not even sure if there was like a version of this for the Sega Genesis. But here we go. Caliber 50. Now, of course, in Caliber 50, you play as another unnamed soldier. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of that. And again, you blow shit up. But the difference here is you can't really you can only control where you're going using the A button. So, as I say, this is a very obscure game. So basically, A and C turns you around, while B fires. You know, for it being a very obscure title, I like it. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure how many LPers have ever heard of this game. And I mean anyone who has ever heard of this game, I'm pretty sure they never heard of a title like this. Because you either have to be from Japan to play this, or if you're like me, or if you're like me, you download it. I mean, this is a very interesting title because I don't know why, but it reminds me of the arcade classic Nom 1975, I think. It also reminds me of Mercs. Today was quite an interesting day. I mean, really, we were supposed to go to the hospital to visit the old man, but Mom didn't feel so well. So what happened was, well, we didn't do anything. We just stayed in. So as you can see, yeah. This game is super obscure. I mean, real obscure. Yeah, that was kind of trippy, wasn't it? I do believe that's an experience bar, I think. Because I think the more you actually collect as far as weaponry goes, well, bullets are concerned, the more your weapon increases. I mean, it's a nice touch, you know? A very nice touch because all you're doing is shooting, and at the same time that you're shooting, you're getting experience for your weapons. This game has precise control. I like that. Especially when you're turning around. It's not stupid, it's just wow. To my fellow obscurists, Hi Retro Gaming Lore 89, Visor Determined 2, The Awesome Gamer Guide 202, and of course UpstartDJ. Really guys, thanks. I mean really, your words of encouragement really do mean a lot to me, so, you know, it really does says a lot, you know. Because being that we're all obscures in the world of gaming, well, you know, we're just here, you know. So I have to say to you guys, thanks, really. Because, I mean, I love doing what I do. I love playing video games. And even though I've been around for like 5 years, And I've started LPing for under a year. You know, guys like you, you're worth your weight in water and gems, you know? So really, I really want to make a shout out to you guys because really, you guys are ultimately the best. Also, not to leave anybody out, but also thanks to SheenaMarieBach for actually being my co-op partner. So thanks to you, you know, because being different, you know, that comes as, you know, something being unique in the world of LPs. So being unique, that's something that, you know, says a lot, you know. I mean, whatever kind of contribute, you know, whatever you can actually give, you know, that says a lot, you know. I mean, we remember. So it's kind of like what I'm doing now is showcasing old games, even though I'm using codes. It's not about skill. If it was about skill, I wouldn't be doing this. I would be facing ridicule. By the so-called gamers. And you know you know who I'm talking about too. The newbies who say, "Oh, you suck. Oh, you had to use cheats and whatnot." Well, I ask you this. Do you remember Game Genie? Pro Action Replay? I'm pretty sure you guys remember those devices. And I'm facing a large-ass turtle. Trippy. Anyway, yeah, this game is trippy in all sense of the word. You're fighting baboons, and they're not even named IR. You're facing giant mutant turtles, and they're not even of the ninja variety or that of hero variety. I wonder what I'm going to be facing next. Giant hedgehogs that don't go by the name of Sonic. I bet it's going to happen. I mean, anybody else who has ever watched my videos, you know, thank you for replying to them, you know. I honestly just try my best in whatever it is. And like I said, in some games, I take a break from, and then I just come back to it. Like I said, there's not much to really talk about this game. I mean, you're technically blowing shit up. And like I say, it is very obscure. and mind you, I'm a kid from the 80s. I'm a kid from the 80s who actually grew up with this stuff, so therefore, for those who actually say those negative comments, I have only one thing to say: fuck you. Because unless you have lived around during the 80s, unless you have lived around during the 90s, back during a time when everything was cool, everything wasn't dumbed down, back during a time which cartoons were not, and I say not, showing nothing but butts and everything else like what it's doing now. Back in the days in which most cartoons were hand-drawn. Like, you remember the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons? You remember on certain shows, they actually show the actual drawings? That's what I miss. I miss something like that, you know? I even miss those sucky openings which didn't make no sense. They only lasted for a minute. Even as I'm speaking, I can still remember Voltron. And since June is coming up like within a day, I am not looking forward to this new version of Voltron. I'm really not. I'm saying this because it's not going to be the same. I mean, if it doesn't have the original voice cast, it's not going to be the same. But even if it... I mean, certain people, like Lenny Weinrib, won't be coming back because they've been gone. And if you don't remember Lenny Weinrib, he was the voice of, Hunk. He was also the voice of, Autocat from Motor Mouse and Autocat. Oh, he did plenty of animated shows. There will not be no Peter Cullen, no epic Peter Cullen for us. We won't hear what we usually hear. Namely this. From days of long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend. The legend of Voltron, defender of the universe. A mighty robot, loved by good, feared by evil. As Voltron's legend grew, peace settled across the galaxy. On planet Earth, a galaxy alliance was formed. Together with the good planets of the solar system, they maintained peace throughout the universe. Until a new, horrible menace threatened the galaxy. Voltron was needed once more. This is the story of the super force of space explorers. specially trained and sent by the Alliance to bring back Voltron, Defender of the Universe. I mean, come on now. Really? No Peter Cullen? No Peter Cullen. Seriously? Wow, a tractor? Seriously? A tractor. I am facing tractors now. Wow, Gosh, I don't know what to say to that. But yeah, like I said, cartoons these days, they're not the same. I mean, what's wrong now is, I think I stated this in my Shining Force Let's Play, but if you hadn't heard it before, you're going to hear it again, as if it was your first time. You see, back when I grew up in the 80s, there were a lot of cartoons I grew up watching. I didn't have anything to say about it because, well, there was nothing I could do about it. I've watched many a cartoon. I've watched so many cartoons that most of what I remember are cartoons and very popular game shows. Back when game shows were actually about a game, games. Flashy lights, something like Classic Concentration and Wheel of Fortune. Even though Wheel of Fortune is still on the air, it's still like, well, I don't know. It's hard to explain what Wheel of Fortune is now. It's like anything now is like considered, well, if you win $1 million. Yeah, you know what? That happened for Password. It didn't work. And like I said, for me, I grew up watching the classics. I grew up watching Tic-Tac-Toe, The Joker's Wild, Super Password, Password Plus, Classic Concentration, Monopoly, Trivial Pursuit. Double Dare. And mind you, there were two versions of Double Dare. There was the Trebek version, and then there was, of course, the Trebek version, and of course, the one we know of, which was Mark Summers' version. Now, why am I mentioning this in an LP? Because I'm giving you an idea of what we all grew up with, or at least what I grew up with, what I grew up watching. I mean, like I said, I grew up watching a whole lot of shows, like a whole lot of cartoons like G.I. Joe, The Transformers. That's right, The Transformers, or The Transformers. Voltron, The New Adventures of Gigantor, I even watched those Filmation cartoons. Masters of the Universe. Anything that was selling at the time, yeah, I watched it. I remember Jason and Wheel Warriors and Back to the Future. Inspector Gadget, of course. And the one thing I really remember most importantly was the fact that when video games were coming out big time, they sold the one thing that I had to get for myself because there's only one type of game I'm really, well, one type of genre I'm really good at. That is RPGs. For anything else like this, for anything else, like what I'm playing, it's basically Game Genie. But I think I stated this before, but it's like if I use cheats, it doesn't make the game any easier. You've never seen me use cheats in like an RPG. The only exception would be Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem was the only exception because that game is so unforgiving. As an RPG, it is very unforgiving. And like I said, the only Fire Emblem game I actually beaten was Path of Radiance. And I've only lost one character. But otherwise, the game got beaten. Like I said, I'm one of those type of people that actually remembers the glory days. I'm not saying that nowadays, this generation of gaming don't know where it's at. But take for instance, if you were to go to a mall and you saw a kid at GameStop and they can understand the controls in the most idiotic of next-gen gaming technology so easily. They can understand how to work the controls for that, but yet they're so ignorant of Nintendo or Atari or even a Sega Master System, if God willing, if there was one now. I mean, to me, shoot. I'd say, wait a minute, is that a Sega Master System? Or even better, if it was a TurboGrafx 16? Shit, do you think I would turn that down? Hell no. I wouldn't turn down a classic like that. And yet some people here, or in person, would say, Dude, you suck. It's like if I'm doing shit-tastic games, I'm only showcasing that because it's just that bad. I mean, it only makes sense, you know? I mean, at least to me, it makes sense, and probably to a few others. But I kind of, feel bad for this generation. For those who say, oh, you still play Nintendo? Yeah, sure. I'll say, yeah, you know what? I'd play Super Mario Brothers. I'd play regular Mario Brothers. Just because I can. I mean, that's all I have to say about that. You know what? I've quit. I've quit trying to question the. I've quit just trying to figure out the logic in all this. And believe it or not, that was the last boss, and clearly that's it. That was caliber 50. Wow, okay. My thoughts about caliber 50? Run and gun, but my god. It's just a run-in sentence. That's all I'm going to say. This game is nothing more than a run-in sentence. But you know what? It has good points. You know, it has a gun experience meter. That's pretty impressive. And it's proudly presented by Mentrix Software. Yes, you do that because that was truly a very obscure game. And you just saw Caliber 50, brought to us by Mentrix Software. Select your armed forces. Well, let's see. My dad was Army. So this here has been Caliber 50, brought to us by Mentrix Software of 1994, and of course this has been me, Izzy. And I rule the school. So there you have it. That was the most obscure game in all of Sega goodness. That was Caliber 50 for the Mega Drive. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this this Veterans Day bundle. I have enjoyed doing this, and for anyone who is related to a veteran, hold your head up high, salute to them, and say, "Yo, Joe!" So with that, stay tuned later tonight for the final episode of Let's Play Lunar Eternal Blue. So until then, I have been the Tenkaichi, and this was Caliber 50. And you know what? We're done here.